Good day, folks. Thank you so much for joining. Today we have with us Khurram Farooq. He's a professional product manager by profession, but that is not what we will be talking about today. He has recently taken on an amazing journey of designing financial independence series for adults and for children. And the need of the hour, of course, is we need to be aligned in financial independence, and that is what we're going to be talking to Khurram about. So thank you so much, Khurram, for joining today and talking to us. So a little bit about I know there's a earlier recording which talks about your whole journey as to how you came to Canada, so we don't have to go into that. So I'll just directly jump into the whole question of why financial independence became such a big important thing for you, and why did you start doing what you're doing right now?
Yeah, thank you, Sadbhai, for giving me this opportunity. Um, I think financial independence is actually a very important part of everyone's life. I unfortunately have not thought about it for a long time, and I think I just started recently thinking about it. And I think one of the reasons that it came to has to do with, the previous, like you said, we have a history and we've talked about this, but I came to Canada from Dubai and I was earning good money in Dubai, right? But one of the things that I see with myself and I see with a lot of people is when they're earning good money, they're having a good life, right? When they earn even more money, they start having a better life. But at the end of the day, when they reach my age, which, we're now like around 50, right? Uh, they really don't have a backup, right? And at 50, you start thinking about what is the next phase in my career? Where will I work? How will I earn money? And once you are not able to do that, because usually people are in their prime in their 30s and 40s, and then from 50s, they start a little bit of a decline. So if I am declining personally, and then my income starts to decline, how will I continue my life? So I think that's the question that I've started asking myself. And now I'm starting to prepare myself. And I feel this is important, not just for me or for someone who's like at this age, but this is a complete journey of the whole life. So I think this is something that, people can start even before they have started jobs. So before they started working, when they enter into their adult life, when they start earning a higher income, and then when their income starts going down, I think every stage of the journey is important in financial independence. And I think there's a different way to treat all of these phases, but I think all of them are equally important.
You're right, and there are certain stages in life when we feel as if we will have this energy and drive in us till the, the moment that we die. And my father used to say to me that, you have to be careful about how you manage your finances. But we didn't realize those things in the early ages because we were like, how
Mm.
is it that this is likely to happen? But you're right, and I now reflect back to what he also used to say, and well, hopefully it's not too late in our lives to have a line on that. But there's a specific focus that you've also taken on younger kids as well, Khurram. I know we talked about this, and you want you've started a program for educating them, and I think there's a YouTube channel in the works as well where you want to make deeper dive. You want to talk a little bit about that for the audience?
Yeah, I think so. The reason that I'm trying to focus on kids is a couple of things, right? So first is obviously some personal interest because I myself have a kid. I want to make sure that he's financially free and he has all those habits from the beginning. The second thing that I want to talk about is when you talk about personal finance, right? One of the most important things in personal finance obviously is money, right? Because at the end of the day, even though money is not the end result, but I think money is what enables your financial freedom. Now, when you think about money and growing money, right, there are really three factors that you can think of. One is how much money you put in. One is what is the rate of return or profit that you get. And the second is how long you let that profit grow, right? So how much money you earn, again, it's completely part it's your capability, but part it's also luck, right? How much rate of return you get, again, it's a balance between risk and luck, and how much you have an appetite for all that risk. The only thing that is really in your control is time, right? So whether you start at 50 or whether you start at 18, I think that has a much bigger impact than how much money you save and how much high rate of return you get. So I think if we let people know early on, like if kids are aware of early on that they need to start saving, even if it's like $50 a month, $100 a month, just building those habits early on, I think that's going to give outsized results compared to trying to find a high paying job or trying to find a risky stock that makes a lot of return. I think the best return on investment is time because that's completely in our control. So that's one of the reasons that I'm also focusing on
No,
kids.
absolutely. And I feel that in a school, at least I was not educated in financial independence or financial numbers, and even in the university, we had. I think if universities can include in their curriculum something about financial independence, if that is not there, then we can at least try to do that on our own. But there is something that is being offered by the government of Ontario now, right, regarding financial independence. You want to share something more about that?
Yeah, I've also read about it, but honestly, I haven't gone through the whole curriculum, so I don't really know what's included. But what I do know is generally, like schools and universities are good at giving you the information. But when you really think about it, right, knowledge by itself is not completely enough. There has to be knowledge and then there has to be action, right? Only once both of those are combined do you get results. Now, universities can tell you that a loan is bad, right? But by taking action of learning, how loans are bad, how there are some situations where loans can be good, why should you stay away from them, right? How you can leverage some of the loans for your goals. And practical steps in order to how to do that. I think those are more important. And one thing that I've really learned, and I know Sadba, you also liked it, which is like personal finance is more personal than
Yeah,
finance,
I
right?
wanted to talk
So
about that. It's good that you brought it up. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So, like personal finance, people will focus a lot on the finance part, right? Which is the money and the rate of return and all that. But I think that's secondary, right? The first part is actually personal. So, how do you behave psychologically? What's your relationship with money? How do you, to keep your expenses in check? Like a lot of these things, rather than being money based, are actually behavioral based. So, I think it's good that the government is introducing all of this. But I do feel that that's not going to be the end all because people are just going to know what the thing is, and they either might not be forced to take action, or they might even not know what are the next steps that they need to take. So I think, yes, it's important for the government to do all this, but it's also important for us to learn ourselves and spend that time with our
And I think
kids.
one of the more important pieces in all this is that the parents also need to understand, and they also need to integrate these things in their day-to-day learning. So if they are well aware with what is happening, how they can make they might have led a good life. I'm assuming financial independence. I see a lot of folks having challenges, but if they can also understand those things and incorporate it in their children's lives, that'll be an interesting thing to do. Perfect. And
So
I
Sadhbhai,
know,
one
yeah,
actually that's a good point. Sorry, let me elaborate on that. So one of the things that I've seen, again, I've started this financial independence journey and I've started talking to a lot of parents. And when I talk to a lot of them, what I get from them is it's too late for us. Why should we learn this? Right. So I think to your point, you may not be learning this for yourself. It may be too late for you, even though I would argue that it's not too late.
I don't
It's
think
never too
so.
late.
You
Right.
learn till the
But
time that you die. So
exactly. But I think the more important part is if you learn this and you can transfer these habits to your kids and you can, as a household, become financially independent and financially aware, I think that's also going to work because just teaching our kids is not enough. We need to model those behaviors, even if those behaviors are not going to benefit us in the short term, right? So I think that's also important.
perfect. Thank you so much, Khurram, for taking the time out and talking about this. And before we go away, I do know that in your programs and your training that you run, you do give actual examples by which people can relate and how they can improve upon their financial independence literacy. So anyway, we look forward to your channel, Khurram, and look forward to some great work. And thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you.
You're welcome, Sadbhai. Thank you.